All right, Tessa Chesser, welcome to the Single Track
Thanks
Podcast.
for having me.
I do want to cover a bit of background with you before we get into Western States. I'm curious what attracted you to ultras, what made you want to take it so seriously at the point we're at now.
Oh boy, you are the second human that has asked me that question, and I attribute a lot of this to growing up in a household that that idolized Bruce Lee, that idolized the ability to work out, and I giggle because it takes me back to an extent where my pop at one point was like, "Hey, so we're gonna go run bleachers for fun." and anyways, I only say that because that just gives you a little bit of the DNA in which is the Chesser household. But if I'm
Yeah,
super honest, I I was an athlete in college. I played soccer. I grew up playing soccer. I rode motocross a little bit until I got hurt, and then anyways, I didn't really think about the idea or the modality of running per se, and until I met somebody that showed me what running was all about, if you will. But then more importantly, I
yeah.
think when you are, you know, born and bred to be, this athlete, this human that wants to take on quite a few things. It's just in the DNA to an extent, and I think you ride the highs and you manage the lows, and so anyways, I digress. But I think my point is I think I saw the opportunity, and I have that mindset that just kind of appreciates the grind, if you will.
I was going to say, you've said in other interviews that hard work is addicting, which what a blessing. I mean, a lot of us struggle to find motivation to get the difficult things in life done, deep work, but it sounds like that's something you embrace. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think for the most part, I'm a fairly serial optimist. I think for me, the glass is always pretty half full, and I always say, because it's always said to me, every day that you get to wake up in the morning, it's a good day. You get to be alive, and not everyone gets that opportunity. And
Mm.
so, I was raised that way, and I feel like when we get the opportunity in whatever modality, right? It could be running, it could be anything that fills your cup. But I think when we get the opportunity to test and push those limits, and for me, when I wake up sore or feel soreness for whatever reason, I just think to myself, like, wow, was really it was what a great day to have been able to use the body, and then it allows
Mm.
for me to feel like I'm alive a little bit, like we're not just moving through life day to day, we're actually like moving through life and using our body in a way that's pretty spectacular. And wow, what can it do?
Amen. Um, you're based in Flagstaff, Arizona. Obviously, in our community, it's a place of legend. There's incredible training opportunities, incredible people. It's one of the meccas. Can you talk about how important that place is to you in your training equation and like your rise and success in the sport?
Yeah, I love Flagstaff. Unfortunately, right now it's on fire, but I love Flagstaff, and I've lived in quite a few actually different places, and I'm currently grateful to call Flagstaff home. I actually am uprooting and moving to Colorado here fairly soon, and so
Oh,
why I
nice.
say that is because Flagstaff for me is does have roots, it does have core, it has a lot of really beautiful things. One is community, right? You get to walk out your front door, and there's anything from mountain bikers to road marathoners to track athletes, to swimming athletes.
Mm.
Everything is bred within this area for those reasons. But I also lived in Mammoth, for a year, and I would say the same thing there, right? To the point where you build and create the community, and that felt that way there as well. And I'm looking forward to heading out to Summit County and hopefully doing that same feeling, right? Creating that community that
Yeah.
sets the tone, but helps hopefully drag you out of bed. Which for me, for a lot of people know that if it's before 8 a.m., it's not ideal.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, Flagstaff is pivotal in that sense, but I appreciate what it has provided, and I look forward to the next chapter.
Yeah. Well, one more question on sort of like philosophical grounds before we dig into Western. Can you talk about respecting the mental aspect of training as much as you respect the physical aspect? I think you said something in another interview again where like 90 minutes on the feet is also 90 minutes on the mind.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, right now I'm currently navigating some adversity through the way my body is handling some certain things. And I
Yeah.
think that as we think highly of ourselves as athletes and runners, adversity will always enter through the window or the front door. And I think how we want to
Mm.
manage that and navigate that is pivotal in the sense of our mental health and mental capacities just become so, I'd almost say more important than moving our body from point A to point B. And I say that because the body will go as far as the mind will allow us. And said another way, the body can heal as far as the mind will allow. And so I say all that because I think for me personally, I have to check myself and take and remember to not take things for granted. And I say that because, if as we move through adversity and as we navigate a 100-mile race or even a 5-mile race or even a 1-mile
Yeah.
run, the mental aspect, that the weight in which we put on those things you know, can feel at times like a lot and or aggressive. And so I always remind myself, and my coach does a really beautiful job of reminding me that, at the end of the day, we are humans, and first and foremost, we are humans, we are athletes and all these other things. But to remember that we can allow so much power. And if we let our minds, be that positive entity, we can certainly go for a pretty cool trip.
Righteous. You snagged a ticket at Javalina last fall, and I'm curious. I mean, that was like 9 months ago, right? Like, how has it been easy or has it been hard to keep the fire burning since then? Like, what's your mindset been like?
Yeah, the fire, fires is not to use fire right now just because of Flagstaff.
I know. Sorry, that was probably poorly
No,
worded.
that's okay. I was gonna reference it, in the sense of like, yeah, the fire is as big as it got here, and then I was like, that's probably poor choice of words, Tessa. The fire in me, of course, is one in which can be dialed, but it never goes away. And I think that is a passion for this life, the one in which we have existing today. And so it's burning now more than ever, to an extent, and for more reasons, just more than just Western states, meaning
Yeah.
the idea of having exposure to biking and skiing and running, and to be this multimodality human is really, really exciting. And yes, of course, Western is, I trained for that for a year, specifically Western only. I trained for specifically Western only for a year. And so I say all that because, as I probably alluded to at the beginning part of this, I am facing some adversity, and so we're going to see how things shake out. But more importantly, my fire for this life is infinite, and I can't wait to I can't wait to try on a few other things to be, Tessa the inspiration, Tessa the athlete, Tessa the human, Tessa the multimodality human, so on and so forth. So
we'll talk about those feelings for race day. Like, do you have any expectations, any goals? Just enjoying the day? Like, what do you think? Where's your mind at right now on that?
Yeah, I have some expectations for sure. I am I'm going to be walking a little bit of a fine line, so we'll have to see
Okay.
how things play out. And I think for any race, for that matter, I typically set up three goals and or 3 to 4 goals, right? Because when we think about running those types of miles, and mileage in general, we never know what car we're going to get that day or
Right.
which one we select. And so anyways, I always like to think to myself, let's just be smart. And so I think heading into this race in particular, I want to be able to be smart because while Western, as I said, I trained for a year. While Western is this big thing, it's not my only thing for this year. So I want to make sure that I head into it with some intelligence. So that to me is going to be a
Right.
pretty big goal.
Well, you mentioned the fine line, which I think a lot of athletes in our sport can relate to. It's ultra running. We're always taking risks out there. I think one thing that I like to keep in mind in my athletic endeavors is just what an opportunity we have to care deeply about a race, just like everything we do in the lead up, regardless of what transpires on race day. Like you said, you've been thinking about this race for a year, training for a year. Think about how much fun you had in the lead up and the stuff you got to do in training. Like, it's so cool. So this is just, I mean, I know it's like cliche, but the race is like the icing on the cake, but everything else is at the core of it, you know? Do you have a mantra for race day?
I don't on this particular day. I giggle because I have some packs. I have a pack that I will be wearing, and I have some ideas about how I want to decorate it. I mean, one of my other things on the side is I love fashion so much, and like, what am I going to wear on race day? You know, and I giggle just because I am trying to create this patch a little bit, and I pull some inspiration from Tommy Ribs behind the idea of stout heart and things of that nature. But I also am like, let's fucking go, you know, let's LFG. So I mean, I can't say as of like right now, this day, I have a mantra, but being a part of craft, I'm really inspiring humans that we get to be involved in around. So there's no doubt that some of that's going to seep in.
I like the interest in fashion. It makes me think we should reserve an episode later in the future to talk ultra running fashion over the years, where the zeitgeist is right now. What's coming down the pipeline. That's super cool. Speaking of which, talk about your gear for race day. What are you wearing in terms of like shoes, pack, stuff like that? I'm curious.
Well, I can't let too much out of the bag, but there's a proto. We got the protos out, I think.
Oh, you got the proto.
So Craft, as we know, Craft has some pretty spectacular shoes, and a lot of those were designed and supported through Tommy Ribs, which is awesome. In addition to that, they have a really beautiful platform, not only on the road, but on the trail. All that being said, though, they have been working on some things internally to expand the portfolio as we think about drops and things of that nature. So I'm really excited to be hopefully involved in running in a prototype that everyone else will get to enjoy sooner rather than later.
Awesome. Well, Tessa, it has been a joy to have you on the podcast. We are looking forward to following your race in a couple days here. I'll make sure to link to all your socials in the show notes. Is there anything you want to leave the audience with before we go?
Hey, I guess I would say if you woke up today, go do something that fills your cup, hopefully.
Awesome. That's the perfect place to put a pin in it. Thanks again.
You bet. Thank you.